Hey there everybody, it's Mark Crilley. I'm back with another How to Draw video. Today I'm doing a lesson on how to draw feet wearing shoes. I think one of the trickiest poses to draw is when the feet are facing almost directly toward you, and it makes a kind of challenging shape to draw from memory. So that's what we're going to be studying today. Let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to zoom right into this area, and we're going to show how to draw a female character's feet and shoes. Alright, so here we go. I'm going to begin by drawing a couple of shapes that I would describe, in my own funny way, as almost like teardrop shapes. Watch how I do this. I'm sort of curving around. Of course, they don't come all the way up to a point the way a real teardrop would, but they sort of do make that angle as they start to come up here towards the ankle. Now, even the casual artist is aware of the fact that the ankles make little, they're not indentations. What's the opposite of indentation? Outdentation? Bullshit, I don't know, these little things at the ankle. I'm sure there's a technical word for these. But you have to get those in there on either side in this angle if you want it to look accurate. And basically, what I'm finding is that you want this line over here to be at a little more of a diagonal angle, whereas this one is a little more straight up and down. And now I am going to, of course all of this changes depending on what shoe your character is wearing, but I've decided to give this female character a very simple, almost kind of ballerina slipper type of shoe that just comes around like so, and I'm putting a base, the sole of the shoe here, and just so it looks a little less unfinished, I'm going to put a little cute little ribbon here on one side, and that basically is it. Although, you know, it's easy enough to say that. To actually do this and get all these lines in just the right place is very challenging, and believe me, I get it wrong routinely. But what you'll be doing over here, as you might imagine, is drawing pretty much the same thing in reverse. So I'm going to go ahead and do that in time lapse, and I'll be back to say a thing or two before we move on to the male character's shoes. Alright, so that pretty much does it. You may find that you need to sort of tweak things. I think this, the ankle bulge, whatever it's called, it's very subtle, you know, you don't want it to be too pronounced or it starts to look strange. So you may find that you need to go back into that and make adjustments at the end when you're done. Now, I found that at least this female version of shoes was considerably easier than the male shoes, so that's going to get a little more involved. But I also wanted to point out that in terms of anatomy, these feet are maybe too small for actual human anatomy. But as you know, I'm doing a sort of a manga type of a style here, and there is a tendency to make the female feet smaller than they are in real life. So if you want to go more into the realm of realism, you would probably have to make these a good bit larger than this. But let's go ahead and move on to the male character's feet. Alright, so I'm going to begin by drawing the cuffs of his pants, and this is not really a lesson about the pants and the wrinkles and so forth, but I could just say in passing that you will observe that there are always quite a lot of wrinkles down here, most of the time for, I don't know, if they're not dress pants in this area. But let's save that discussion for another video and talking about pants and wrinkles and so forth. Now I'm going to get into drawing the shape of this first foot. Quite challenging, I think. And I'm going to begin with a sort of a diagonal line coming off here and looping down. This time it's, you know, when I drew the female character's shoes, they were kind of pointing straight forward. This time I'm doing a slightly different pose where the feet are pointing just a little bit out to the side. So you've got this diagonal line here, curving around, sort of a gentle curve here. And then as you come up here, this is the tricky part, the foot, the shoe really has to divide into two parts, and this becomes the front, and back here is the heel, and you really have to watch how you do this. The way the heel is kind of partially concealed back here. You're getting into foreshortening territory here, and I'm going to go ahead and indicate the sole of the shoe. As I said, with the female character, we were kind of artificially shrinking the feet, making them smaller. And in this case, I think you're getting a little closer to actual, the real shoe size that you would see like in a photograph of a guy of this height and weight and so forth. Now here, you notice I drew a sort of an egg-shaped kind of a thing here. Of course, that depends on the type of shoe you're wearing, but if he's wearing a type of shoe that has this tip to it, that line can help delineate that and make it more convincingly three-dimensional. You need to get this, here we go with me trying to come up with words for things, the place where the shoelaces kind of like come together, and that's where we are right here. But notice that because the foot is pointing out in this direction, that line has to kind of follow there, and I'm kind of not necessarily doing the laces super accurately, but if I were drawing this in a much more up-close way, I suppose I would focus on that a lot more. But that kind of gives you the basic idea of the shape of the male foot wearing a slightly dressy shoe, I guess I would call that. As for gym shoes, running shoes, sneakers, that kind of thing, I'm going to have to save that for another video. But let's go ahead and we'll kick it into time-lapse to do the other shoe in the reverse direction, more or less the exact same shape. All right, so that kind of wraps that up. One little tip that I'd give you about that is notice again, you've got this angle of line here, and then the angle of this line is just a little bit, less diagonal, I guess, and that creates that shape that we need to convey the feeling of the foot. Now, this is the shape and so forth is going to be much enhanced, the three-dimensionality, when we add shading to it, and that's exactly what I intend to do right now. I'm going to pull out my trusty black Prismacolor. What pencil is that? People are always asking. Well, it is a black Prismacolor, available at almost any art store you go to. But let's go ahead and pull the camera back. We're going to show both of the figures side by side. I'm going to do the final pencil work, and I'll come back to give you some final tips at the end. Alright, well, that's my video on how to draw shoes and feet. I know a lot of people will look at this video and they'll say, hey, but you didn't show us how to draw the figures head to toe. That's what I really want to learn how to draw. Well, maybe I'll do a video like that in the future. In the meantime, though, I want to let you know, stay tuned to the very end of the video. I'm going to zoom in and show you the shading that I did on both of those shoes so that could help you if you want to replicate these in drawings of your own. In the meantime, I want to thank anyone who has supported me by getting Brody's Ghost Book 1 or Book 2, both published by Dark Horse Comics. Also, this standalone one-shot comic, full color, includes material that is not found in either of these books. And I just want to let you know, if you ever wanted to help me out, Brody's Ghost, Book 1, Book 2, they have now entered royalty-earning territory. Not every book reaches that stage. Happily, these two have. That means that when you buy this book, it is true, some of that money comes directly to me. So thanks in advance to anyone who supports me that way. But enough of the self-hype. I want to thank you all for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll be back with another one real soon.